Okay. Good. Good. That should be right. Should have everything. That should be fine. All right, let's go in here while this is getting set up. We're going to send out a couple of invites for the sake of, because we should. Because we should. Yeah. That's what I need right there. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to send it to a couple of places. So let's go over to the Book of Faces. I've got a couple of places I need to drop for there. So we'll go over to Fandom Night just for the sake of while we're getting things set up here. There's that. People can know that we're going live if we're going live and so on. Dupe. Live. Copy. Bam. I know the start of these is always a thrill. It's always a thrill to just sit there and watch somebody set this stuff up. So maybe, to be fair, I've done this long enough now that I should really have this, thought out. But hey, that's how this works. Is I mess it up and then I figure it out in real time. So that's how this works. Bam. Live. And then we're going to head on over to Twitter, because I don't have no huge following or anything like that, but you never know. There are a couple people that talk to me pretty much exclusively on Twitter, so we're going to drop that. There's that. I don't need that anymore. I don't need that anymore. And then just for the sake of, I will also go over here, and I'll do this, and there. That's all three of my main things. And then if I get any kind of words or something like that, that'll be fine. So let me get this set up, move this over here. Doop-a-doop-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. I know this part takes forever. All right. Wow. No dropping pocket. Bad thing. All right. What's up, Seth? Man, this is me. I'm here. I'm here just to talk crap. I got me, and I got, I don't really have much else. I got Dumbface Skeletor. He's always here. He's always with me. In fact, he's in the next episode that I post, the real episode that I post. He's always here. He's always here. He's always with me. And a couple other things are actually here and with me now too, in terms of the collection and things like that have been getting up there and everything. So hey, what do you know? So I don't know 100% what this is going to be. I know that's going to go down there, and this is going to go down there because I don't need them. They're cleaning stuff. And since you're in the room, I guess I'll go ahead and I'll tell you, we're going to be back in the office tomorrow, and that's going to be interesting because there's not as much room as there used to be, so people are going to be sardined like crazy, and that's the way it's going to be. See, tomorrow there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done to get ready for the party that's supposed to be happening, and tomorrow we're also having people over, and we're kind of celebrating for Michelle, and we're celebrating for, well, I guess to be fair, it is Bolto's birthday tomorrow too. And so since all that stuff is taking place tomorrow, we're going to be in here, and because we were also talking about going through a couple folders, it's going to be interesting because we're going to have to move that stuff up here again. It's just like a box. It's the mics and the soundboard. But we have to move it up here, set it up, hook everything up, and then get everybody in here somehow. And there's not as much room as there was in here because my actual intent was to move us out of this room and to have this be my space. And now it is very much my space, and that's going to be interesting tomorrow. Very interesting. What's going on, man? Hey, how you doing? Open conversation. We're just doing topics and shit like that. And yeah, it could be worse. We've actually had quite worse. See, it's going back to the folders. We haven't bought an external monitor yet. And so until we get the external monitor and we really figure out how we're going to run that other room, which is a garage to be fair, but until we really find out how to do that, it's going to be a little bit of back and forth, and we're really going to have to start figuring some things out. And maybe we really need to push the idea that there's only a couple people per episode and stuff like that. What's going on, man? Hey, how you doing? We're just doing live here. This is just hanging out and just talking whether topics and stuff like that come up. Hey guys, what's up? What's up, man? Yeah, but but tomorrow is 100% an episode. I see no reason that it's going to get cut off or anything like that. Shane will be late. I'm just making a random assumption. It's that's the way I see it. I think that Shane will definitely end up being late, but hey, I guess we're back on track if it comes down that way, because that's about how it's supposed to be, I think. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. As always, it never really hurts anything, to be fair. I just like to give him crap about it. But he does, I mean, he shows up and everything like that, so it's whatever. But yeah, so I guess first off, for the sake of, in case we come up with something, let me go here real quick and see if anything has been posted to my main stuff. Nope. I did, not that I'm gonna necessarily show it here, but if you go to Fandom with ReploidBill currently on the Facebook, I did post a really cool picture of the original style Ninja Turtles with what the Power Rangers would have looked like next to them. And it's very original style. It's a really cool piece of artwork. I posted that on the page a little while ago, and it's really, really good. It's actually kind of stunning, actually. They're bringing back, I heard that The Wrath of Khan is again going to be in theaters. That's a thing that's coming up real soon. Wow. You know, that's one of those movies that, like, it's kind of had a lot of those events, actually. I think I've managed to see that in the theaters 4 times, and that's absolutely insanity. Really insanity. Oh, and if Bruce Lee fights Lord Zed, there's not even a competition. Lord Zed can shoot lightning bolts, and as cool as I think the man was, he cannot move faster than light, so that's the end of that. Superhero guys with multicolors can do it, but he's still human no matter how cool he was. And speaking of human, because we're already on my channel anyway, so self-promotion right here, shameless self-promotion. I did do a video about Superman not too long ago where I actually discussed why I think nobody can tell. The whole glasses thing, I'm a different guy. That I did actually go into that. I talked about that for a little while, and I actually think, personally speaking, I laid down a good argument for that whole thing. And yes, man, dude, that would be so cool to get them back in the theaters. I would love to see the original live-action Ninja Turtles back in theaters. Man, that would be sick. And can you imagine the crowd that would draw in? Because think about us. Think about the age group that's going to go into that. Especially if you were born around my time, because I talked about this in previous videos. The reason I missed out on things and wasn't interested in things like Masters of the Universe until recently was because my association with a property like that came down to Conan the Barbarian and things like that. So, and that's because out of sight, out of mind is a very real thing. And by 86, it was turtle time. And I mean, you got to figure by the time I was old enough to care about anything, because I was born in 84, by the time I was old enough to care about anything, it was turtle time, man. It was turtle time. The 1992 movie blew me away. It was like one of the greatest things I had ever seen in my childhood ever. And I remember I got the VHS, right? And I think I literally watched that thing so much that I kind of ran the tape ragged. And I could still remember the pizza commercial at the start of that thing. I vividly remember the pizza commercial for Pizza Hut that was at the start of that. It's so wild to me. But yeah, wow. Avatar back in theaters, I could not care less. Literally less. It would be impossible for me to care less than I already care. It's that thing. This entire writers function as mascots for a Fandom, I think it would be. What do you mean? So you're thinking about like having something commissioned or something like that, or artwork like that? Because that sounds kind of neat. Yeah, man. It's so wild, though. Man, that Turtles back, that would be such a big deal. I'm telling you, that's kind of That's almost centrally on my mind right now. Now that you've said that, because that would be great. Because I see these things all the time, and there are certain movies, certain shows that I can't believe haven't gotten more time. Like, I really cannot believe it that they haven't gotten more time. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to try to fix this so that I can have both of these screens up at the same time. Okay, we're going to pull that over. We're going to move this here. There, that's better. Now I can actually see the screen that I'm looking at there, and I can see the screens that I've got pulled up for my chat and everything like that. Had to rearrange a couple windows. Would you say favorite anime is Gundam, or is there something? Oh, no, not even close. No way. Nope. Here's the thing. I really like Gundam. I do. I like it a lot. But Gundam as a long-stead series, one of the things that hits against it is that it is so long. And just like Dragon Ball Z, if I break Dragon Ball into a single category or Dragon Ball Z into a single category, that's one thing. I could probably rate the animes differently, and that's fine. But it is one narrative story. So Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and at least a couple of the movies, and not many of them, not very many of them at all, because the movies are very much just like GT, a separate universe. They're a separate telling of Dragon Ball Z possibilities, what ifs, if you will. So no, that actually, because of the bigness of it, it gets kind of broken down as well. I really, really like animes, and yes, what you're seeing right there, what Seth is talking about, he's more right than anybody else in this aspect, because I like animes to end. And like, one of the things that I really loved about Dragon Ball Z was that from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, it told this giant, grand, ultra cool narrative. It went great. It was from Dragon Ball, and it followed Goku up to his, more adult years, and then followed through on that into his adult life and introduced all the side characters and things like that and grew the show up and did a bunch of stuff like that. And then at the end, it ended. It was time for it to end. It had gone as far as it could go. And it was... Dragon Ball Z is already suffering from extreme power creep. And once power creep becomes an issue and we no longer tell storylines, we just want more power creep instances, that ruins it. It ruins it hard, too. I love Dragon Ball, and I love Dragon Ball Z. And I love these moments. You love things like Goku becomes a Super Saiyan, the first time you see the Kaioken attack, Vegeta appearing on the battlefield for the first time, Piccolo having no choice but to put his differences aside and work with Goku. These are all different things that you see that are like big moments. Goku's death, Krillin's death, things like that. And let's not act like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were perfect, because they most certainly were not. There were retcons going on inside of that continuity. Like, remember in Dragon Ball when there was a very specific rule laid down that if you died, in order to bring you back, there had to be a body present to reimplant your soul. So they had to take care of your body. They had to like freeze it, put it in a capsule, take care of it, make sure nothing happened to it. And then there was a literal worry if you got, say, blown to pieces. And then in Dragon Ball Z, they just go, nah, bring him back. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Bring him back. We'll just pretend that rule didn't exist. And they do that constantly throughout the entire series. In Dragon Ball, Roshi blows up the moon. There's no moon in Dragon Ball Z. So the fact that they make such a big deal about it, no, it's in the manga too. They actually put Roshi and Krillin into these little capsule things in Dragon Ball. And they kind of seal them away and they kind of freeze them so they can bring them back later after they die, because you have to preserve the body. And they just throw that away. Because who needs it? So I'm not going to say that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, that's not the argument I'm making. But look, what Dragon Ball Z suffered from the most wasn't its retcons. Whenever it made a retcon, it did so that the story would work. And we just kind of let it go. We said, yeah, the moon is already gone. But wouldn't it be cool if, like, the moon was still here? And then, like, Vegeta and them could turn into Azurus? Wouldn't that be cool? And because he very much plays on the pattern of cool. He just kind of makes things happen when he needs them to happen. But there was a lot of things that built up personality, and he took his time, both in the manga and in the anime. They took their time to give you time with characters so that when something happened that was a big deal, it happened. And I mean, it really happened. Goku becoming Super Saiyan after the death of his best friend Krillin is a huge moment. Heck, when Krillin dies in Dragon Ball, it's a straight up tearjerker. We know that guy. We've spent time with that guy. We've lived and hung out with that guy. And not just in terms of, oh yeah, he's a main character. No, he was a big deal. People underestimate how big of a deal Krillin was to the series. He was a huge, monumental, huge deal. Very important. And when he dies, that is an absolute game changer for the entirety of the anime. It is grow up time. Real shit just went down. And they do bring him back. Which then, by the way, and yes, Krillin fan, I don't give a shit. He is literally, after my last watch through, he's my favorite character. Because Krillin had died. He had died, and the rule is you can't come back twice. You can come back one time. That's it. Which means every single time that something happened and Krillin was willing to put his ass on the line, that's a big deal. It's a bigger deal for him than any other character. Until Goku dies and comes back as essentially a freaking god. Because he does. He just shows up and his power is exponentially greater than anybody's. Like literally anybody's. There's not a single living person on the planet that could have fought with him. Nobody. That is almost unreasonable. Because from that point on, it never changed. It never changed. Nobody ever caught back up to him. Not really. Not realistically. Everybody dragged ass for the rest of the series at that point. You got to look at Dragon Ball and understand that he was challenged all the time. They built stories around him. They gave him a personality. The other characters had personality and time and build up, and the moments that happened were real moments. They were important moments that build and earn it. And then, look at the Super Saiyan 1 transformation the first time. Look at the first time Vegeta does that big, giant, huge Saiyan form. Look at the first time that Trunks comes out having the attitude that he does, and he thinks that he's surpassed his father only to discover that he's got a lot left to learn. Look at the two differences and two major character building designs when Goku stands down Frieza and King Kai says, "Attack now. You won't get another chance." And he goes, "No. He has to be at his best." And he says, "Why?" "Because if I beat him now..." And Goku was mad. Goku could have killed him. Goku probably wanted to kill him, but there was a point to be made. If Goku fights him now, when he's at his best, when he's at his absolute, and he beats him, Goku is under the impression that ends it. He never comes back. We never deal with this again. I'll put a stop to it. When he's at his best, it'll prove a point. He'll never bother us again. That is unbelievable. It is such a huge character-defining moment, and then you take that same idea and you put it on Vegeta. And Vegeta tries to play the same game, but not for the same reasons. Vegeta is prideful, and Vegeta believes that he is the biggest thing to have ever walked the earth. He's it now. He is the strongest. And nothing No amount of robot or destiny or anything could ever dethrone him. He is top tier. Nothing can change that. So he says, go ahead, Cell. Get that android. Get him. I'll let you do it. I'll fucking help you do it. I'll help you do it. And look at how hard that bit Vegeta in the ass. But it wouldn't have been the same had they not taken the time to develop the characters and show us the nuance and the building that they were working towards. Now take Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan Ultra thing, the time that Trunks did that, when Piccolo actually comes back as the full Namekian that he was born as. Remember, when they actually tell us that that was a thing in Dragon Ball Z early Frieza, they said, Nail says, had you come back as your former self, Frieza would have stood no chance. And you kind of look at that and go, ooh, I don't know, Frieza's like kind of crazy and everything. But you're looking at that in hindsight and you don't understand just how broken Piccolo is half a person. So when he does rebond and he becomes this big deal and we have this information, we have all this story back here to back up these events that make these things big events. That's wonderful. Now I want you to go to Dragon Ball Super and see my problem. How did they introduce Super Saiyan Blue? Because when I watched that part of the series, they just come up and transform. Poof! Bam! I'm awesome. I'm blue. I'm blue, baby. That's it. There was nothing. They didn't earn it. It wasn't story dictated. I didn't see them go through any kind of turmoil to own that or to earn that moment. It's animated wonderfully. It is cool looking. I already know these characters, so they don't have to build exponentially. I already knew that they were moving towards something in general, but Super Saiyan Blue just happens. All the training, all the hardship, all the development happens off screen. And take that back to Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, yeah, you say there's heavy training in the background. Look at Dragon Ball Z when Vegeta transforms into a Super Saiyan and they stopped the series. Now hold on a minute. This is a big deal right here. Super Saiyan Vegeta. He even looks kind of different than Super Saiyan Goku. He's got like this aura and everything, like he's way more concentrated. What's going on right here? Why is it? And then he says, it turns out there's more than one way to the goal. And he gives an entire story as to pain, heartache, problems, barely making it, almost dying, being so pissed, so betrayed, so angered, and so disillusioned of his own bullshit. Because he's the prince, he's the greatest, he's the best. He should have been the only one to be able to do this, and now he's the only one that can't do it. Then he gets there, and it gives a whole big thing as to how and why he got there. Why he got there. Then Dragon Ball Super comes along. And they go, you know what would be really cool? Super Saiyan Blue. Bow, I'm blue. I'm blue, baby. They don't earn these things. Look at Gohan, when Gohan's like, I'm going to have to get back into shape. And they look like they're building characters for him. It really looks like they're hinting at something. He gave up on this type of life. He doesn't have that kind of power anymore. He's fallen back into what he was. Then he does 15 minutes off screen with Piccolo, a single episode, not even half of an episode to be fair. And then he's like fighting with his dad and he's back in the mystic form. Like he's just there. He didn't earn that. We didn't see him do anything to get there. We didn't go off with an old man and oogie boogie secret powers again, which is stupid. But it was still character building, and it was still drama, and it was still taking a break from the action points to build characters and narrative so that when we get action points, they mean something. Just a fight is just a fight. It doesn't matter how cool it is, it's just a flash video. If there's no reason, if there's no passion, if there's no storyline context for me to relate to or me to care about, it's just a flash video. I can get that from Newgrounds. I don't need an anime to waste my time to show me that. I don't. It just blows my mind how how that works right now. Like, and it's not that I hate Dragon Ball Super, because that's a big issue here, is that a lot of people think that I hate Dragon Ball Super. I just notice it. I watch it and I'm like, oh, they just gave that to him. Like, he didn't. What? Like, they bring Roshi in, and they're like, here, Roshi, he's like super strong, and I'm like, I love Roshi. He was like literally one of my favorite things in Dragon Ball, and I believe he still would have been competent in Dragon Ball Z had they played it out properly. But you're gonna like just drop him in Super and tell me that he can fight like thousands of Frieza soldiers? Because really, look back at Frieza soldiers, they're not like power level 5s or something like that. No, that's bullshit. The two little weak soldiers that find Krillin and Gohan on Namek, the first two Frieza soldiers we're ever introduced to, they're like 1,200. They're not jokes. They're strong people. 1,200. And it's been proven in Dragon Ball Z time and time again that the only way that you could fight multiple opponents is to be at least double, if not quadruple their power. Otherwise, they will eventually overpower you. We've seen it happen many times. But then you bring Master Roshi back in, give zero explanation whatsoever, no storyline, no build-up, no why, no how, no reasoning, and then he's just like, I'm fucking badass. And he does buff mode, and he fights a third of the Frieza army? While also coaching Krillin? And Krillin shouldn't need coaching at this point. Thank you. He should not need coaching, even retired. Krillin is the strongest human character on the planet. Bar none. None. Absolute soldier, proven time and time and time and time again. And he's like, oh my god, a Frieza soldiers, oh my god. My problems with Dragon Ball Super is that all it does is jump from action piece to action piece with storyline that was never earned, from storyline that was never earned to storyline that was never earned, while playing Gumby with all of its characters. There's like, this guy needs to be strong now. He's strong now. This guy needs to be dumb now. He's dumb now. This guy needs to be weak now. He's weak now. You can't do that. And I get that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z always played off the narrative of cool. If it's cool, we're going to find a way to make it happen. But at least we had a storyline to tell us why it happened. So Dragon Ball Super bothers me. And because it's all one big storyline, and if I was to come in here, like I'm doing right now, and talk about Dragon Ball Z, or any character, if I said, oh my god, let's talk about, we'll just randomly, Android 18, let's talk about her for some reason, for whatever reason we're talking about her. I can't just talk about her in Z. Because immediately people are going to be like, oh, but what about, because in Super, or maybe if you would actually finish the show and watch it and da-da-da. So, like, I just don't get it. Like, you play Gumby and Fast and Loose with the characters, and now if I don't watch it, if I don't know it, I'm behind on the narrative. So anything I hope to argue really falls on deaf ears because I can't argue at the level that you're going to argue with me at. It's like when people come in to a comic book and try to argue X-Men and they haven't read X-Men in like 20 years. Well, X-Men is not the same thing anymore. So your argument becomes immediately invalid because you really honestly don't know shit about it anymore. You want to talk about old stories or nostalgic points? That's fine. But you can't talk about straight up X-Men anymore because you don't know shit. Every 5 years you don't know shit. You didn't bother keeping up. And that's what happens with run-on animes, is that things like Dragon Ball Z do that. And then, because they didn't allow Dragon Ball Z to end, like originally, it was over. It was over for years. Now it's a run-on anime, just like so many other animes. And it's impossible to keep up with. And by the time I catch up, it's just going to make another thing. And then I'm going to be like, oh, well, crap, I guess they changed that, or and yeah, I get that large narratives and things like that are going to do this all the time. I'm never going to get away from that. But there is something I really like about anime that ends, because I can watch it, it can be done, and then we can move on with our lives, and any discussion you want to have about it, we can have about it. I can watch Basilisk, and then I can come in here and I can talk to you about it. And then you can spend literally one afternoon watching Basilisk, and we're on the same level. So I like things like Summer Wars, Princess Mononoke, Basilisk. I really like Genshiken 1 and 2, to be fair. So I like a lot of stuff like that actually has full narrative that ends, and then I can talk about it. And I like some anime that would surprise some people, to be fair. Let me read some of this stuff right here. Roshi buff mode is supposed to be his power-up, but only a short term because he doesn't have the stamina for it. And yeah, it is true that Roshi has a maximum power form. And in the course of Dragon Ball, he only uses it very few times. So we don't know the exact full power of Roshi. One thing we do know is that at full power, Roshi can blow up the moon. But we also know that Roshi died to Piccolo, unless you want to make the argument that he killed himself. But then, if you want to make that argument, and he could have fought all those Frieza soldiers, why didn't he just buff mode Piccolo and be done with it in like 2 punches? Because we're talking about a time when power levels created power creep and literally destroyed Dragon Ball Z. It is the single most dangerous thing they introduced in the entirety of the series was power levels. It was a way to quickly say, this guy's really strong, and now we're going to do a thing, and then because of that, they'll soon realize the power levels are irrelevant, and blah, blah, blah. But they never got to that point. They never actually got to that point where they say power levels are irrelevant. They're still referencing his power in Buu. So if all the way up in the Majin Buu series, we're still playing off the idea of his power is unbelievable, well, then we're still playing power levels. Even if you're not telling me what they are blatantly, we're still playing power levels, and that's playing with power creep. And because we're now changing the narrative away from skill and into power levels, we now have a big problem. Because power levels did one thing with Roshi that damages all of it. Now I have to believe that Roshi was some sort of idiot that committed suicide, because if he was powerful enough in buff form to fight like 1,000 or 700 Frieza soldiers, which are all about 1,200 or more in power level, and Piccolo was like, what? 200 something? Maybe? 100 something at the time? Daimyo King Piccolo? Because I think, Piccolo's like 230 or something like that at the World Martial Arts tournament, and he was stronger than King Piccolo. So King Piccolo fights Roshi and dies. Roshi dies when Roshi could have full power flicked him in the face and we'd have been done. Like, power creep hurts anime. It hurts it so bad. Because once you start introducing things like power levels, and a lot of animes do this, even if they don't call it power levels, and even if they try to do that shit, like you say, it was to show how the villains were stupid enough to arbitrarily measure power, but that's not true, because the good guys do the same fucking thing. If you are still referencing his power, you are still referencing power levels. And if you can just roughly look at a character and go, his power is immense, well, then we're no longer talking about skills or abilities. We're talking about power. And the only thing that matters in that context is power. Because the one with all the power is the one that wins. And if not, it usually takes a move that allows you to possess more power, like the fact that the good guys can triple their battle power in an instant through things like the Kamehameha. Well, that's an ability that's really cool, but it's still playing with power. And not Nintendo. It's a power creep. every time we do this, and it's not the only anime that does it. Bleach does it. They introduce one guy, and guess what? The next bad guy has to be stronger. The next bad guy in Dragon Ball Z has to be stronger. And it's not stronger in skills. You can't make the argument. You can't go, well, because this is a skill-based anime, what if this guy and this guy could fight? Well, when did they appear in the series? Well, this guy appeared around like season 1 and this guy appeared around season 4. That guy wins. We're done. We don't have any further conversation to make. You want to tell me that Cell couldn't beat Frieza? You're lying. You're lying. You're out of your mind. Because it's power creep. Automatically existing. Cell exists. He can beat Frieza. Because he's a bigger danger than Frieza. That's what it is. It is true. Upping the stakes can be bad for storytelling, and especially if the way you up the stakes is by increasing power, because every single thing after Frieza is the entire planet is in danger. The entire planet. In Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z, we were allowed to tell stories that were self-contained, that dealt with things, sometimes big things, like the Red Ribbon Army, but then we'd take a break, and we'd go to the martial arts tournament. And we'd throw down in the martial arts tournament, and we'd meet rival schools, like Ten Shinhan. And then Ten Shinhan is like, I'm part of this rival school from your past, and blah, 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 and here's all this story, and this is reason, and exposition, and da-da-da, and by the way, I'm associated with Tao Pai Pai. You'll find that out later on. But once we started doing power creep, which really started at about the end of Dragon Ball Z, at the end of Dragon Ball, that's when it started. About the time that King Piccolo showed up, we started playing with, he's so powerful. And then it was, well, I can get more power somehow. And then I get more power because reasons. And at the time, at least the powers were like even. So it was like, he's so strong, but I got this thing that kind of makes me like this strong. And so now he's only like that much above me. He's like barely, he's not like that much stronger. So like now it's really close, right? Because like Piccolo and Goku fight, and it's like this guy's 348 and this guy's 335. Okay, big deal. So now we're literally in a skills competition where who really is better. And to me, that is astonishingly more important and more dramatic and more interesting than that dude shoots big beams because he's powerful. So powerful. Like, it just, power creep kills animes. And Super suffers from it bad because we've reached a level of power creep that now has to go gods, universe-ending catastrophe, gods, universe-ending catastrophe, and the whole time we gotta go, well, this guy's stronger than this guy was, and this guy's stronger than this guy was, and now we're just, like, we can't slow down anymore. Like, what do you do at this point? What do you do in Dragon Ball Super to, like, bring them back to Earth? Remember in the anime, and I realize this is filler, but it still has its place. Remember in the anime, a little bit of it was in the manga, to be fair, when Cell was like, hey, you guys got this many days. And then they were like, okay, well, we're not going to waste these days. But not everybody, like, went off to train for the days that were left, for the 7 days or whatever. They went fishing. They hung out. They took naps in the grass. They talked with one another. They ate dinner. They shared family time. These were people, first and foremost, characters. And now they so harshly jump from battle setting to battle setting. And people are like, oh, no, because remember in Dragon Ball Super, because it starts out and they're at Bulma's birthday party. That was a fight. That was a fucking set piece to fight. That's all it was. Yeah, it was wrapped around the idea that some kind of narrative thing was happening. But the whole point of that day the only day in their lives that we see as development for characters and something that actually builds towards something is interrupted by a god wants to fight. And we never slow down from that point. And I get that people like today, they want things to happen quickly. And they want it to happen hardcore. And they want it to be cool. And it's got to be cooler and bigger than the last time. It's got to have amazing powers. It's got to be world-ending shit. Because that makes me care about it. But, like, I personally care about characters. First, foremost, and always. Which is another reason why I do actually tend to like things like, and I'm going to bring it back, like Conan the Barbarian. I do actually tend to like that because you could tell a near world-ending event with black magic and things like that, and then immediately go from that storyline. The next storyline can be bandits attacked a cart that Conan happened to be seeking passage in, and he ends up getting taken along with some of the other guys down to some slave camp or something like that. Now we have a completely different story. And you know why? Because Conan cannot suffer from power creep because he's just a dude. He's a manly dude. He's quite manly. He's Mr. Universe-esque dude. But he's still just a dude. And if just a dude never exceeds the limitations of being just a dude, we could tell all the stories we've ever wanted to tell with that dude and put him from one situation to the next, and it will always be interesting because there's always a chance that just a dude can't make it. That's infinitely more interesting to me than gods want to fight. And once we fight and beat gods, we'll go home and compete in the Tenkaichi Budokai? I guess? Like, what do you... What? What is there left to do? On Earth, what is there left to do? What can challenge you or mean anything? Like that Dragon Ball superhero thing. I didn't see it, but they were like, Red Ribbon Army, big fucking deal, blah, 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 Piccolo and Gohan. And I'm like, so what? Like, where's Goku and Vegeta? Are they just, they're busy that day? Because they're gods. They're gods. Nothing that the Red Ribbon Army can do, aside from bullshit storyline narrative and extreme amounts of plot armor so thick that you literally can't punch through it, can possibly mean anything. They're gods. Gohan's kid is taken. Gohan goes, Dad! God Dad! They took my kid, and God Dad is like, oh no, that's I'm going to get that kid back right now. I will literally destroy the entirety of this planet with this pinky finger and then wish the entire planet back with the Dragon Balls, and then we'll just go pick up the kid because we won't wish the Red Ribbon Army back. We did it. We did it. He can literally do that. What is there left to do? People talk about Superman being a hard character to write for because he's infinitely powerful. And you made Goku a god. It doesn't matter if he doesn't have the title. Super Saiyan God is God tier key. It's God level ability. He's a god now. What is there left to do? Threaten the other characters? Why? Because he's like conveniently away somewhere? You know he has instant transmission, right? Just call him. Dude, help. Slap. Well, there you go. Sorry, I got to get back to what I was doing. We're done. There's nothing left to do. There's nothing left to do but tell more power creep stories. And that is my biggest problem with what they've done with Super, is I don't see that there's anything left for them to do. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they come out of nowhere and because what I would have done personally is I would not have given Ultra Instinct to Goku. I'm serious about this now. I would have given Ultra Instinct to Roshi. I'm being serious about this. And then I would have had Roshi shock the entire Dragon Ball world with, holy crap, Roshi just fixed this situation. And then I would have him say, you kids and your power levels, you keep thinking that all of this is decided with power when it's not. Infinitely throughout the course of your life, it will be a combination of your mind, your soul, and your body, and the betterment of yourself that's going to lead you to greater things, not power. Power in itself is useless. And there's still a lot further that you guys have that you can go. And right there, even if we say that going into Ultra Instinct basically ends Roshi, he can't do anything else, because once he does it, he's literally drained to the point of he has to sit down now. He can't. If somebody attacked him right now, he cannot even move. He can't win. That would fix it. That would fix it, because it would showcase that the God of Martial Arts, which is the title that he was granted, still is viable, because skill matters, not just power creep. But you want to tell me that Roshi can beat Goku? You want to tell me that there's any chance at all that Roshi could fight one of his own students at this point? One-on-one, no rules, full competition, because I don't think he can. I think the fact that you introduced power levels, whether you were meant to claim them as bullshit or not, created power creep, and you cannot fix it. You can't fix it. I don't see them doing it. At least I haven't witnessed it. Now, I've heard that too. Imagine Dragon Ball Z ended after the Frieza saga and nothing came after it. Who knows? Maybe it would have been cool. But I'm not discrediting all of Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Z Super, or Dragon Ball Super, sorry. There's still a lot to gain from it. It is fun to watch. It is cool. It is flashy. It is neat. It is like, oh shit, cool stuff happened. But that is kind of what it's devolved into, and that's kind of all it is now, personally. And that's the part that bothers me, is I don't think they can fix where they've put it. Let's see. Seth, what the fuck? Water plants. Could that damage the earth? Does he pee real hard now? I don't know. I mean, he's God level. Everything about him is strong. His hair is strong. I mean, shit. He fought a sword, and I don't give a shit what you want to say. He fought a sword with a pointer finger. At that point, if you're telling me that he could power single parts of his body with power, and it was that early on that he could do it, that weapons had already become irrelevant. Because weapons were relevant all through Dragon Ball and half of Dragon Ball Z. Wasn't that anybody really used them, because they realized that weapons in general were kind of a way that held you back from developing the most important part. You use the weapon. But still, like, at that point, could he literally just, like, not even headbutt you? Could he just literally hairbutt most of the enemies that he fought early on and, like, beat them now? Just swish his hair. Dead. Because I actually think he can. I don't see any reason that he can't. Let's see. Goku broke the earth. Yeah, I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't hate it, though. I really don't, and I know it gives that impression, but I don't hate it. I'm just very honest with myself about what I see. And I can see that and then put it aside and say, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to do this, I'm going to have to turn my brain off and I'm going to watch it. And that's fine. But I notice it. And then I have a habit of sometimes pissing people off, because they'll be like, oh my God, this. And I'm like, I mean, I've seen it. It was cool. It was nicely animated. I'm like, oh my God, it's so important. And I'm like, it's really not. It's not. I'm sorry, but I see what's missing in the narrative, and that's the part that bothers me. But I'm very storyline driven. I like, so that's important to me. Like, if I play a game and I can't get into the world building and I can't get into the story of the game, chances are I'll be taken out of the game. I won't care. There's argument to be made though that if the game is based on just gameplay, Mario games, for instance, I don't need there to be a big narrative because I know what I'm going in for. I'm going in for a top tier platformer, and so there's argument to be made there that I'll step aside on certain things. But like, if you give me an RPG of any kind, a storyline driven game, and the storyline is not good, even if your gameplay is so great, I'm done. Because that's not what I came there for. I came there for the story. And with anime, I do tend to come there for the story. So when it divulges or seeps into flashy shit happens each episode because it's flashy and cool, that's cool. That's cool. It's cool to watch, but I don't care about it anymore. And I think that's kind of where I've fallen to with that kind of stuff. But I think that's more than enough Dragon Ball Z. I honestly did not mean to go 50 minutes or whatever, but I love Dragon Ball Z, and it really is one of those topics that I could talk about all night. Like, no joke, I could do that. Like, there are certain things that I know, or at least I have my own vision of what they are, and I could talk about them forever. That's one of the things that I could do. Yep. So yeah, I don't. Oh, sorry. I thought I wasn't looking. It says I have a major problem with anime when they sexualize little girls. I looked right past the little word. Yes, it is disgusting. It's a problem. It's a literal fucking problem. And it's not one that will be fixed as long as you're watching anime. Period. You can't fix it. And quite frankly, and this is going to be fucked up to say, you also you kind of can't complain about it, because you support anime and the culture that it is by buying it and watching it. The only way that you can fight against it would be like with your wallet, and to say, if this series has anything like that, I have zero interest. And that's it. That's all you can do. But it's really ingrained into anime. And it's, some of it is intensely gross. Like, intensely. And it's really hard to avoid. But that could be another reason that I fall into certain animes that I fall into, too. Because I do tend to kind of get it. I do tend to get away from certain things that even like possess that possibility of problem. Like I like Basilisk, and I like Dragon Ball Z and whatnot and things like that. Like, people are like, "Oh my god, Naruto," and I'm like, "Oh my god, Basilisk. I don't need Naruto anymore. I have Basilisk. It's Ninja Scroll Naruto. Go watch that. We're done." And it's like 25 episodes. When you're done with it, we can literally discuss the entire series. Oh, and the entire thing is powers, but skill-based powers, so we could literally hold that up to a candle and say who would beat who out of the entirety of that show, and we would have like 50 fights that we could actually genuinely discuss instead of other anime that you can't have that conversation. So that's, yeah. And, like, most of the time, if you're watching any anime that has teenage characters or something to that extent, you're gonna run into it. There's almost no way around it. Like, it is crazy how much you can't get around it. Like, you're like, "Oh man, I like this show. It is really good right now." And then literally in the middle of the anime, they'll be like, "You know what? Bathhouse time." And you're like, "Oh, come on." And it's ingrained. It's ingrained in anime. It is very hard to avoid. Almost borderline impossible. You have to know what it is that you're going in to watch, and you have to be willing to say at any given time, "Oh, well, moving on," because yeah, I don't think you're avoiding that situation. Not with anime. No way. Heck, we can barely avoid it in American cartoons. You just don't realize it. There's little weird things hidden in American cartoons that nobody stops to think about. Like, okay, look at the Jetsons. Look at the Jetsons. And I'm not kidding about this. Look at the Jetsons. Jane is 33. Judy is 15, about to be 16. That makes Jane about 17. She was about 18 when her kid was born. Maybe even 17, depending on when her birthday falls. But also, that means, because of the way, making babies works, she had to have been pregnant when she was 17, if not 16. Oh, and here's the kicker. George is 7 years older than her, which means he was like 23 or 24 when she was still in school. And she was like 16, and he was like, "It's baby time." So this is like strangely woven into a lot of stuff that nobody pays attention to. I think it's even it's in Indiana Jones, isn't it? Didn't Indiana Jones like screw a 15-year-old? Isn't that part of his character? I'm almost positive that's actually in his character. I'm not kidding. I think that's a part of his narrative. Not a joke. I think that girl that he meets at the start in the first movie, I think she mentions something about being one of his students, and I think if you trace that back, I think that's a real thing. And you find this hidden in all kinds of movies and cartoons and things of that nature, and you just don't think about it. We should, but nobody does. Nobody stops to question that, like, weird stuff is always in the background of these shows and movies and things, and we don't think anything about it. We should, but we don't. Nobody tends to notice them. Like that Indiana Jones line, I didn't pick up on it, and I don't think I even picked up on it until like literally the last time I watched it. And then I was sitting there for a second like, "No, hold on a minute." And I kind of was like, "Well, that means, wait, is that what they're implying? Is that what they just said?" Because now that really changes the narrative. Now I have other questions. What's this? Major, nope. Different age. America is the land of getting offended. This is I can't lie about that. It's a thing right now. Japan is a different culture. It's a different culture. What he's saying right here, there's no way around it. If you're gonna watch something outside of your culture, you better understand that now you are no longer a part of your culture. You're experiencing their culture. And even if they Americanize it the best that they can, like when for some reason they keep calling rice balls jelly donuts, that's still a Japanese show. You are still going to see Japanese things in that Japanese show that have been influenced by Japanese culture, and you chose to experience that culture when you decided to watch outside of your cultural circle. So, I mean, you got to take what comes with it when you decide to step out of that norm, because now you're no longer in your cultural norm, you're in their cultural norm, and no amount of complaining is going to change their cultural norm, because it's not yours. Someone yell at me. "Oh, well, I don't see any reason that you should..." Look, man, that's you say here that you stopped watching anime after somebody told you it was like griping at you and everything like that. Man, just I never understood that. That there's like this weird mentality that like, oh, grow up. Please. Look, all I could say is this. If you look behind me, I live what would be referred to as a man-child life. Okay? I have toys. I like them. I'm into things that fall into stuff like this. And I'm video games, I'm anime, I'm cartoons, I'm fun, I'm toys, I'm Mario, I'm things like that. And you know what? I got a house, and I got a job, and I got a wife, and like, I got a car, and I got payments, and I got all the things that I was supposed to do growing into my adult life. And just because we didn't take the same route to get there doesn't make the fact that I got there any less significant than the fact that you got there. I never understood this mentality of being like, oh, you need to grow up. You're watching cartoons. Cartoons are for kids, and if you're still watching cartoons, then you have a problem. I can't agree. I think that if you're playing the bum game and you refuse to grow up and accept adult responsibilities, now you're a child. That's a difference. That's a huge difference. Liking a childish thing or something of that nature, something that's a little more lighthearted, I don't see anything wrong with that. Sometimes we need fun. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with just watching some cartoons. And the idea that you would deny yourself some type of fun so that you can always be like grown up, well, then that's your problem. And if that's the way you want to live, that's fine. But that's not for everybody, nor should it be, because it doesn't make sense. And also, if you give up on the things that made you a kid, if you give up on all the things that made you a kid, what do you have left to share with your kid? That's a real question now, by the way. Because I personally spend a lot of time with my kid. We play Hyrule Warriors. We play Mario games. We race. We watch cartoons. There's a lot of things that I can do with my kid because I'm still very interested in things that, I guess, in a way, keep me at a younger mentality for being able to do that. And, like, what do you do? Like, I really wonder, like, when you have absolutely nothing left in your adult life because the only thing you have is adult things, what do you do with your kid? Send them to their room and tell them you had to play alone when you were a kid, they're going to have to learn to do that too? And to be fair, I guess some of them do that. So, yeah, wow. Yeah, I don't get that. Cartoons as kid crap. Meanwhile, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are the HBO show he was better back into. Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. It that's a mentality that doesn't make sense. He said it right there. Like South Park is a cartoon? I mean, it is. You know, tell me that cartoons are for kids? Or are you gonna backtrack on that idea and tell me that, well, some animation is adult animation? Well, where do we separate that? Where do we draw the line? Is it a style, or is it just a thing? Like, it's just, oh, well, that's a rating system? Okay. Maybe, and I guess I could give it that, but then the mentality is so broken. It's so weird. It doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, I see that crap too, where the same adult that will tell you, you watch cartoons and crap like that will then go off and like watch the movie Shrek. And I'm like, you know that's a cartoon, right? I mean, it's a CGI, it's like a movie, but it doesn't exist without cartoon influence. It literally cannot exist without cartoon influence. Like, you owe the entire existence of the thing that you are enjoying to cartoon influence. Yeah, animation is just animation. It's just a style of entertainment, and it goes no deeper than that. Entertainment. Done. It goes no deeper, no wider, no vaster. That's what it is. It's just a way of entertainment, of art expression. No different than anything else. It's the narrative and storyline that's being told that decides its age sensitivity. That's it. Not that it's a cartoon. And even if it is meant for kids, what stops you from, like, watching it? I mean, I guess it's weird if you're watching, like, no, because I've even seen people that, like, sit down and watch, like, Sesame Street, like, with their kid and whatnot, and they just watch it, like. So I don't know. It's a mentality I can't understand. Anytime I hear that from somebody, I'm just lost as to what their problem is or what that even means. Like, what are you talking about right now? It seems like a real broken logic loop that people take on. Or maybe it's like their way of justifying that they're adults, they've grown up, and they have to prove it to themselves because there are times that they really don't know how the world works, because that's one of the scariest things you encounter in your adult life, is that one moment when you realize, oh shit, they were guessing too. Like, there's that moment where your parents become very real to you, when you realize for a moment that these people that seemed like they had all the answers, they were living the same life that you currently live, asking all the questions that you ask, experiencing most all the troubles that you are going through, and being just as clueless as how they were going to make it through the next year as you are. And you go, holy shit. People are just like people. And everybody's playing the same game, and the rules are complicated. Like, it's crazy. Okay, what else do we have here? Let's look at this real quick. Boom. 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 Okay, let's check this stuff out. So, I'm going to draw that up, and then I'm also going to draw this up and see if we come across some topics here and there. So, no, I don't want to talk about no politics or any crap like that. I have zero interest in that crap. Absolutely not. Oh, Christmas decorations are out. You saw that, right? Because I certainly seen it today. I went to the store and saw the Christmas decorations up. They're all over the place. Christmas trees already are up, and there's lights everywhere. And man, can I just have some Halloween? Like, is it against the rules to have a little Halloween? Just a little Halloween. Like, we just went to a store. I'm not kidding. We were at the store. There were Christmas trees at the front of the store. And in the back of the store, there were Halloween costumes. Like, can we just relax? I get it. Christmas makes people spend money. And I get it. Right now, we're complaining about the economy to massive extents, which we should, to be fair. And right now, them businesses really want you to spend that money. To be fair, a lot of other people want you to spend that money too, and that's the reason they're desperately hoping that by relieving some certain stresses in your life, they'll get you to add stresses to your life. And that's really what it is, because they're like, what if we secured all this so that you wouldn't have all this debt? Would you go get all that debt in another way? Would that make you go get some debt? Because that's really the only way, because they're really hoping to they're desperately trying to shuffle things into the economy and whatnot. And I get that. I get that it's a thing. And like I said, we're not about to jump into a bunch of political crap, because it's not my show and it will never be my show, and my views are really doesn't matter shit. But yeah, I've got a couple items, actually. Today I was informed that I got a couple items coming from Big Bad Toy Store. Finally. I'm telling you, I've been waiting for this one. This is like almost. This may have been almost 2.5 to 3 months ago now, which, like I said, I haven't even been doing Motu for that long. But look, I pre-ordered about 4 things from Big Bad Toy Store. I have a statue coming, which is that's gonna be absolutely phenomenal. It is going to be the absolute centerpiece to everything back there. I'm not exaggerating. It looks that good. It's going to be big. It's going to be incredibly detailed. It's going to be one of the coolest things I've ever owned. And it's going to be rare. It's going to have one production wave. That is it. And when it is done, it is done. So it's very much like one of the rarest pieces that I've ever invested in. That's coming from Big Bad Toy Store, and it is going to be shockingly cool. I also have 2 items that they just cleared today, and I've been waiting on them for like 3.5 months or something like that. It really has been a long time. It's anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 months, and I know I keep like expanding that, but like even my wife, when I came down and I said, yes, they're sending 2 items, and she goes, what? She says, is that? I didn't even realize that was still a... And I said, yeah, that's how long it's been. It's been so long since those items were even discussed that I'd almost forgotten that I had them on pre-order. But I have a Masterverse. I have a Masterverse She-Ra, which she looks incredible. She's a deluxe figure. And a Masterverse Hordak from Motu coming, and they really do look astonishing. Like they're nothing short of absolutely phenomenal figures. They're going to be really, really cool on the shelves. Those 2 look absolutely great. And then I'm still waiting on a re-release of Origins for a She-Ra. And then, like I said, that centerpiece, because that's all the things I have coming. Is I have 4 things coming my way. And those 4 things... Oh, I guess... No. Hold on. Oh, dude. I haven't got one yet. But I did see a Sonya. And when I have the money, the legit money, I'm going to be getting one. I mean, she's fantastic. There's this really cool deluxe Red Sonya, which is like incredibly posable, like something like 60-something articulate points. It's really impressive. She moves like her feet, her ankles have swivel joints, her like thighs and whatnot move, her arms move. She has like jointed elbows and everything like that. She could put her arm all the way back like a real person and everything. And she comes with like 6 different weapons. She comes with that big giant axe that you've seen on the covers of certain comics. That's, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I cannot stress the level of good that it is to you further. I can't do it. Okay. It's too good. It's a level of good that's almost impossible to explain. So good. But yeah, she's going to be astonishing, but she costs a little, she's almost a $70 figure. And at first I was very put off by that. And I said, oh man, that's too much. But she's decent size. Like she really is. She's relatively like, she's going to be bigger than Dumbface Skeletor. Because she probably stands like, he's a 5.5, somewhere around 6. She probably stands about a little taller than that. She's probably going to be about that big. And she's a little, she might be comparable. I'd have to check. She might be comparable to the figures in the Masterverse line of Motu. And she is phenomenal. And it's the chain bikini. So it's the one specifically that I like, and she's absolutely phenomenal. She's going to be unbelievable. But like I said, she's about a $70 figure, and that really did put me off until I was at the store and I was looking at Switch games, and it hit me today. It actually really did hit me today. This is I'm talking about right now, today. Came home and been thinking about it. I saw a Nintendo game there, and the Nintendo game is about $60. Okay? It's going to cost $60 to get one Nintendo game. And that's pretty normal. Anywhere from $60 to $70 is a regular game now. One game. Okay. But putting that into perspective, I had to buy a table. I had to buy another table the same size as the table that we're using when we've been doing filming. And that table also cost $60. And the last time that we ate pizza, that we all ordered some pizza, that cost over $70. So, like, I was put off by her price, and I ran away from it. But if I'm being honest, she doesn't actually cost that much. She's expensive, but she's also rare. She's unique because you're not going to see other people having a Red Sonja figure. And she'll look absolutely fantastic on the shelf, and it'll literally be a reference point for the entirety of my collection all the time. I will get my money's worth out of her. In fact, she will probably stick around and be more admired and noticed than most of the Nintendo games on my shelf. Like, I bought and beat Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna. And they were fine. They were good games. But I cannot foresee an instance where I will play them again. And I know that that means that those things are literally probably going to sit on that shelf. And this is about $130 worth of investment, is those two games together. I got them when they first came out. That's probably like $130 worth of investment that I put about 120 hours into. And now they're done. And you would never know that I had them. I could literally forget that they are on the shelf after they sit there for the next 10 years. Think about the PlayStation 1 games that I still have that are utterly pointless. Am I really going to go back through Wild Arms? Like really? When am I going to do that? And it's not that I don't like the game, but like, when's the next time I'm going to go through Wild Arms? How long will that thing sit on the shelf for no reason? I have games that are sitting on the shelf currently that have recently had remakes done, where they're like, oh, there's an awesome remaster. Come get your remaster. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Now I have an interest to play that game, but that's also a negative, because shouldn't I have cared to play that game earlier? Right? And since I didn't, isn't that kind of a waste of my time and money? So if we're talking about things that just sit on a shelf after costing $70, I may actually be viewing some figure collection incorrectly. It's cool to get a figure for $20 and put it on the shelf, and it looks cool, and if it's really good articulation and everything, then you knocked it out of the park. That's great. Because that's a very little money invested, and it's a long time. You'll have it for a long time. But like, then you also have to ask yourself, if you were to spend $60 or $70 on a figure that is absolutely phenomenal, like a Mondo figure, which that's like a $230 figure. We're getting into much bigger prices now. We're talking big leagues of collecting action figures now. But if you were to do it, right? If you were to do it, can you really consider it to be a waste? If we're comparing another hobby like movie collecting or video game collecting, can we really sit here and say that it's a waste of your money to invest that kind of cash for something that's just going to sit on your shelf when if let's break it down and be honest for a minute, how many movies do you buy that are like $25 a piece, if not $40 depending on how far back you bought that movie, and you don't watch it? Right? How many? I mean, because I'm telling you, I know it happens. I know there's a lot that we don't watch over and over and over again. We never actually get our, quote, money's worth, right? Well, you say that, but you can't, depending on how big your music collection gets, and I know this from experience, I had a 500 disc CD changer. I had the entire thing filled, and then I had discs that were on the side that I put into a separate disc changer. And never, there were certain albums that I had that I would listen to for a while, and then they would kind of fall off my playlist, and I probably wouldn't hear that song for upwards of more than a year. And it was like a $30 CD. And so for a year, it was out of sight, out of mind, if not longer. And then randomly, I was like, oh shit, cool. I basically forgot I even had this. I got to a point where I put the 500 disc changer on shuffle because I wanted to actually feel like I was getting something out of all the stuff that I'd invested in. And so that's where I'm getting at with that, is that there were a ton of discs that basically never got played. A ton of songs that I never heard that I paid $30 for, if not more at the time. So the way we value collecting is kind of crazy to me, because we'll say things like, oh my God, I wouldn't pay that much for a figure or a statue or a thing. But then at the same time, I will turn around and I will justify, oh man, yeah, I'd pay like $70 for that game. That's going to be a really cool game. And then I'll get it, then I'll play it, and that's great. But then like after I've played it, there's one like hair on me. After I've played it, I'll put it on the shelf and I'll forget about it for like 6 years. And then come back to it and be like, oh shit, dude, remember that game? Like I have Spyro. I have Spyro for the PlayStation. I still have that game. The last time I played that game, Gwen wasn't even alive. My daughter wasn't even alive. That's like, it may have been 14 or 15 years ago that I last played that game, and it is sitting on my shelf right now. And since I bought it back when it came out, it was about anywhere from a $50 to a $60 game, easily. I mean, I beat it. Does that I get my money's worth? I mean, I played it. I had fun with it. It's still down there. I never lost it. I could play it again tomorrow. I could. I won't, but I could. So I guess I got my money out of it. But what I'm getting at is, what is the difference between buying that Wonder Woman back there and putting her on the shelf? Right there. That one right there. I put her on the shelf. She costs $45. At least I think. That might be the one that I'm thinking. Actually, she could be more, actually. There's a couple of them back there that are sitting right behind me that they're expensive. Some of those border past $100 easily, my Wonder Woman statues. But like, I literally see them every day. And there's not a day goes by that I literally do not sit in this room and listen to music and hang out or whatever I do and just kind of look back at the wall and kind of take in the collection and think about what stays and what goes and what's cool and what I really like, and kind of glance over the Wonder Woman statues and think about what I would like to get that kind of goes with them, or what I'd like to do, or how I'd like to decorate the back or something like that. That's all investment of emotional content, which is partly what we're spending our money for. And so in a way, I get more out of a statue in the long term, just having it around, because you know that's what statues do, than having a thing like a movie or a game or something of that sort, that after I've seen it a couple, 6, 7, 8 times, or played it through twice or 3 times, I'll put it to the side, and that's it. Like, it's gone for, it's literally out of sight, out of mind for who knows how long. I have full animes that I watched and then said, awesome, I'm gonna watch that again sometime. And then they've sat there like, who knows how long? Who knows? Like, who literally knows? I think I was still living with Shane. Shane was my roommate the last time I watched some of these shows. And, like, I've owned Blue Gender for so long, I couldn't even tell you. And I think I've watched it twice. And I think I've owned that for... I've probably owned it for 15 years. I've owned Street Fighter 2V for... wow. I cannot put a date on it. I bought it from Suncoast. And Suncoast has not been in Peoria since 20 years? Maybe? Might even be longer. It might have been around the time that DVD sets were like starting. And I bought that. It's one of the very first animes I ever bought. And like, I watched it a couple times, but it just sits downstairs. It just sits there. And it's not even like it sits there where I can see it. It's literally in a closet. Because I have a media shelf where I took literally an entire walk-in closet area type of thing, like what was supposed to be a coat closet, and it wasn't being used for coats, so I gutted it and built it into a literal to-the-ceiling shelf. And so I put all the movies in there, and then I shut the doors. And so I don't even see them. So can I argue that like, is there an argument to be made that I should even keep it? I mean, I might want to watch it again sometime, and I paid my money. Do I get my money's worth out of it? I mean, it cost like, I think literally when I bought it, it cost well over $100. And yet I will sit here and I will tell you things like, oh man, that Red Sonja costs like $60. I don't know, that's a lot of money. Is it? I mean, is it really? Because this is the way we look at these things, and it has to make you wonder at some point. It really does, right? It has to make you wonder, what is the value? How do we justify the value? Because there is argument to be made that once you reach a certain point and it's out of sight, out of mind for too long, you're now wasting your time. You're wasting your money. Because I could gather up all the stuff that I've had no use for the last year or more, and I might go back to it, but I might not. So I could gather all that stuff up and I could literally sell it now. If you could, to be fair. You got to find somebody to sell to, because you might not even get your money back out of it. Well, in most cases, you won't. Like most DVDs and movies and things that you bought, chances are you won't get your money back out of it. Chances are very high that you won't. If I buy a movie and the movie is expensive, and then I go from there and I'm like, hey, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this movie. I think I'm going to sell it. Now, I bought that movie for $40 at some mall. And yeah, some of them do actually cost retarded money like that. Like, just ridiculous money. So you pay that money, and you're like, yes, got it. Paid that money. And then you go in, and you're like, all right, now what? And you try to sell it, and you're like, I'd like to get that $40 back. Nobody's going to give you that. It's a DVD. They literally sell them at flea markets for $1 or less. Collector's edition DVDs sell for $1 or less. I've literally went to flea markets with $20 and left with like 37 movies. All of them in great shape. All of them worth watching. All of them good movies. And watched every single one of them and been like, I can't believe I got all this crap. And like, it's just weird. It's weird how we'll justify prices. Like, you're doing it right now. You're like, for example, I have a Tony Braxton CD that I haven't played since I first bought it. So I played and thought of myself, damn, it is a good record. But that's what I mean. How long did that just sit there and you got no value out of it whatsoever? None. But then you could turn around and you could talk yourself out of doing something like, I don't know, that's a lot of money. Like that, I don't know if that's really worth it because that's so much money and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it is a good idea not just to spend your money like an idiot, but it is funny the level we'll put onto something where we'll say, that's worth it. I have to have that. And then you'll like have to have it. And then after you've had it for like, I don't know, a month or so, you'll put it away and then you won't see it again for like 2-3 years. And then you'll pick it up and be like, oh shit, this was the best. But you justified that. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird what we'll talk ourselves out of or what we'll claim is justified and not justified. It really is. It's weird to think about sometimes. Because I talked myself out of that Sonya specifically because it was going to cost me $60. Which, yeah, $60, that's a decent amount of money. It is. But, like, I mean, is it? Because it really depends. It really does depend. Clicking through stuff here, seeing if anything comes up. Not much going on the fandom night right now. Not that I can see. Looks like Resident Evil series was canceled at Netflix. Scott posted that. I mean, how do I put this? I don't care. Because I really don't. I can't care. I haven't cared about the Resident Evil stuff, even games, actually, since it turned into a first-person shooter. And I know I'm not saying they're bad games. I'm saying that, for me, it was a change that while other people saw it as a return to form, it changed the kind of game it was for me. And also, since I can't play first-person shooters because they make me sick, like, I can't play the game, so I can't even enjoy it, and it really killed the series for me. So I don't really care about anything that Resident Evil's doing now. Sad, because it really was one of my all-time favorite things. I do kind of want to see this Samaritan. That looks good. That looks cool. Just because of what it is. I don't expect to be like blown away by it or anything, but I do think it's been pretty. I honestly think it'll be pretty cool, and I gotta say that like most of the stuff that Stallone is doing currently in his older age seems to be done because he wants to do it. And so he's usually putting like 110% into what he's doing, and that's really cool. Not that he didn't always try, but you could tell that there were times in the 80s when he was doing some crap where, you know, he'd do like a movie or whatever, and you could tell very blatantly that he was just kind of phoning it in because it was paycheck time. So yeah, but he had to, because he was a working guy at the time, and he had to do what he had to do. So like, you look at that, and you say, okay, well, you know, every actor has to do that crap. But then, now, some of these actors have reached a point in their old age where they're very money secure, and they're not really worried about that. Even if they dropped off the face of the earth and literally couldn't be in another movie, it wouldn't hurt them. They'd be fine. They'd die just fine. that's when they really get to do work that they personally want to do. And as it becomes part of like their thing that they want to do, they're also able as an older actor to sometimes pull strings and work with very specific people that they want to work with. And that's cool too, because it guarantees that their work environment is solid. The people they want to work with is the people they're working with. The thing they want to do is the story they want to tell, which means they're really going to put it in. They're going to try. It's going to be good. Like, even if it's bad, you'll know that the actor was at least giving it, like he was trying to do something. That's solid. That's cool about seeing a lot of the old actors that have not dropped off, that are very much still, putting it in. That's good. I'm actually liking a lot of the old actors that are sticking around and doing stuff they want to do. Looks like as I'm looking down here, I see stuff I could talk about, but I think we might be at the end of this one, because we do have the entire episode tomorrow, and there's still, I could probably do this at other times too, make this a little more normal thing to come in here and hang out and actually get some conversations going and whatnot. I think this is it. I think I'm going to go find something. I don't know what. Something to do. But I don't know what. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm going to take off. Later on, thanks for sticking around. Everybody that did stick around and so on and so forth. And if you caught this later and you watched through it, then that's cool too. And I will catch you guys later. Later on.